back to Filmatic, my miscreants. I know it's been a minute since I've been around, but here we are. Couldn't have come at a better time. A new Marvel movie, The Marvels. Now I already know I'm gonna get a lot of flack as the film doctor for this review, but it is what it is. Let's jump right into it. The Marvels. I know that a lot of people, because I don't typically watch all the other film, and I'm not going to say their names, but I watch a lot of their film reviews on YouTube, and quite honestly, a lot of them have said that this movie is the worst Marvel movie ever, that this movie is terrible, and this, that, and the other, worse in cinematic history, it should be shunned from the list of so many bad things. I mean, the news, it didn't make a lot globally inside of the box office, and I have a lot to kind of say about it, and I'm going to try and sum it up into a 10-minute Filmatic episode, but let's talk about it. My thoughts on it. I hear both sides, and I understand both sides. I understand for all these people that are enraged that Marvel has been doing kind of a formula that they think produces money, or maybe a formula that they think is going to be more appealing to this younger generation. I don't know what the case may be, but this is how we've gotten crap like Secret Invasion and She-Hulk in my eyes, and maybe there's some people out there that like She-Hulk, that like, her and Megan Thee Stallion twerking. I don't know. But I know that we have these original, it's almost like the comparison of those that are hardcore, die-hard comic book fans that kind of look at this and say, this is not what we signed up for. This is not entertaining. I understand the fact of story and how it was all over the place. Now, I came in a few minutes late, but I hear that the story was covered via text about Darvin and yada yada yada. But I do get it. She was forgettable. I forgot there was a villain. I thought we was just focusing on these cats and maybe the fact that their powers keep switching and how to bring... Darvin was forgettable. I get it. Okay? I get that we want this female empowerment. We keep doing that with this age, this day and age of let's try and make sure that women get their opportunity. I'm not down in it, whatever the case may be, but let me make a key point to this being black. How many years it took for black people, and we still ain't even got our reparations. We still ain't even got our fair due. They're trying to get women's rights and have all these women-empowered movies in like a decade. It's been centuries for black people. You're not going to get it. Alright, it's going to take some time. Let's not do it in Marvel, okay? They had opportunities to be able to capitalize, and they missed on it because they wanted to hold to this formula. I get it. I get for some of the good points that some of these people put out about Miss Marvel, how her and her family, that their characters were really the sell point, were really the highlight of this movie. I get it, okay? I can say it all day and back and forth, but I think that from a film major perspective, compared to maybe, and I'm not speaking for all the other YouTubers that do reviews on the Marvels, to say that, hey, they're giving their personal opinion, did they like it, based on their already built up regression about Marvel and the direction that it's done and the products that they've been putting out. But I know that I have gone to school for film. And when I look at film, like I said, it's like baking a cake, alright? If you bake a cake and you put a whole bunch of, I can't even think of it, like a really Old Bay. You put some Old Bay seasoning inside this cake, it ain't gonna taste good, okay? So all the ingredients have to be right for something to be good. So we already know, and I'm not giving my rating yet, but we already know it ain't a 5 because it doesn't have all the ingredients. When I look at music, the music, average, okay, bet. Alright, when I look at the acting, you can't say that Miss Marvel's or Monica Rambeau, none of those characters, or for those specific ones that their acting was so terrible and this, that, it was their characters, okay? So, if we're talking about acting, then we can bring up Miss Marvel and her performance, her family's performance, to say that those were pretty good. They were really lovable characters that we were brought into to appreciating. So for that saying, I'm going to still say average, maybe a little bit above average because of that, because of Miss Marvel and her family's performance. When I look at cinematography, nothing super special, but there were some cool moments, average, okay? Not going to shit on it. This is where everybody is giving it the worst movie ever, and it's based on story. Story. Yes, it was 5 different things all over the place. Yes, I hated the whole singing language, but I hate musicals, so maybe somebody else out there liked it. But where's a Marvel comic book where people are doing musicals? Marvel is such, and DC is known to be dark, but Marvel still has like a serious tone going through for characters, for their storyline, especially for villains and who they're fighting. There's not really a silly sense of humor for it unless they're Peter Parker and being sarcastic, or unless they're Deadpool and they're being sarcastic. The comedy, the crappy comedy, the one-liners, it is getting too much, where you're losing focus on the storyline. I get all of that, because when you look at Endgame, how many jokes can you really point out? It was a serious tone throughout the whole thing. Does that need to be the formula for every single movie? Every movie is different. It's like art. So you can't look at art and say, I don't know why they used brown here. They should have used gray. You know, that's going to be your opinion, but you can't say that it's the worst picture in history that has ever been painted just because they didn't use the color that you wanted them to use. So at the end of the day, that's why my review is different than everybody else's here on YouTube. That is saying that it's the worst in history. I don't say that it's the worst in history. I was able to sit there and watch it for its enjoyment, mainly because of Kamala Khan's character. Now, if that was a shitty portrayal, if that wasn't as good, her and her family were not as good, I would say this was the worst in history. But when everything else marched up to average and story is the only thing that's really needing some freaking work here, I can't say that it's the worst ever. I'm not going to go 1 out of 5 stars. So I've already eliminated a 5-star rating, and a 1-star rating. I'm not giving it either of those. It's only going to be a 2, 3, or 4. So that already narrows down all the components that make all the ingredients / components that make a movie good here inside the Marvels. I've already been kind of upset about the movie choices that they put out there. Like, granted, we're getting new characters and everything, but I know that there's a Nova movie. I'm like, no, like, but they're trying to introduce new characters, so whatever. I'm not even going to bring that. Did Miss Marvel need a second one? Could she have been portrayed better? I think that is some of the TV shows that they were able to bring up Kamala Khan and or Miss Marvel or Monica Rambeau through WandaVision, etc. Whatever shows that they've been under. So to say that they've been underdeveloped inside of this movie, they've been developed through all the past works. So in some aspect, to see the mother and whether that was capitalized on, I just think that they should not have had all these different stories and focused on one thing. I do see the silliness behind Nick Fury that should have been serious, a badass, especially being Samuel L. Jackson for Nick Fury, and how that's evolved and changed. So I understand everything. Still, I cannot put that as worst movie. I'm watching it for what it's worth. I'm not comparing it to anything else before it. I'm not comparing it to anything else after it. I'm looking at all the ingredients, and all the ingredients spell out average right now, except for one being storyline. So there's so much that I could say. There's so much in-depth detail I could go. I did appreciate the end credit scene. I'm happy. Am I successfully happy with the direction for Young Avengers? If that's 2 out of the however many there's going to be, knowing that the other 2, there's another 2 that are going to also be 2 women. So there's going to be 4 women total, young women that are going to be playing the Young Avengers. And if they're right, I don't think this is a spoiler, but you know, Vision's. Why did I say WandaVision? Wanda's kids from WandaVision. That there's supposed to be 2 of them, Wiccan and somebody else. I forget the name. Anyway, escapes me right now because there's so much going on in my head about the Marvels. So if this is Young Avengers, I think it was a great setup. I love X-Men, and so it was a great introduction. I hope that's not a spoiler. But it is what it is. As a movie, I'm not even going to waste any more time. You know what? Fuck it. Let's jump into the movie review of like the stars. What's the rating? Let's find out what I rated.
Keep working. Keep striving. Never give up. Fall down 7 times. Get up 8. Ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship. Ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship. So keep moving, keep growing, keep learning. See you at work.
The rating for this, quite honestly, I've already eliminated a 5 and a 1. And for quite some time, I wanted to give it a 3 stars out of 5 stars, which is really kind of average. And then when I looked at what my 2 is, a 2-star rating is like it's background noise. Like it could just be on and playing. And I could see that. Would I go back and watch it a whole bunch of times? I might actually go back and watch it to try and understand things that were missed or that weren't understood. But at the same time, is that because there's so many components of it, storylines that were all over the place, I don't know how many more times I would go watch it and just be like, background noise. Now it's like it's become background noise. And I also feel like giving it a 2 out of 5 is almost kind of because I watched other people's ratings. So I want to, since I'm not giving it a 1, I have to not give it a 3 and go down to a 2. But at the end of the day is that I have to look at this from my perspective, from the film doctor's perspective, from all the components that make for a good movie no different than all the components that, or ingredients that make for a good cake or whatever you're making. Okay? So in that aspect, I was able to sit there and I'm not saying Captain Marvel was really good for the first one, or the Marvel, Miss Marvel, not Miss Marvel, but Captain Marvel, whatever they called the first one. I think it was called Captain Marvel. Now this one's called The Marvels. But the first version of that wasn't really something that I liked. I didn't like Captain Marvel, the first movie. Okay? It wasn't something that piqued my interest. I really actually hated it. I would have rather kind of watched this than the first version. So even though the story was all over the place, even though I hated the musical and the people singing, even though I hated the stuff with the cats, which it wasn't like I hated, like I liked the fact, like it made sense. Some people were like, oh, now they're eating the people to bring them, like it makes sense. You couldn't put all those people on the plane, so, or spaceship or whatever you want to call it. So I get it. I can talk about what I hate and what I don't hate, what I like, what I don't like, but I'm not going to say that I didn't like anything that will surpass it from a 1 or a 2, so I'd rather stick with my original rating and give it a 3. I know, 3 out of 5 stars. I'm going to get a lot of shit, the film doctor, because I didn't agree with everybody else's, but how we see movies is no different how we see stand-up comics. One stand-up comic, maybe someone else doesn't like. They swear too much. They don't like their humor. It's too dark. It's too offensive. Whatever the case may be, to each their own. I won't say that this was the worst Marvel movie ever. If anything, because Quantumanium I really looked forward to, I didn't like Quantumanium. I can't even really put both of them. They're probably at the same level of greatness or badness, same level of entertainment, whatever you want to call it. Those movies, the Marvels and Quantumanium, are probably at the same level. But I really did not like that movie either. I didn't think it was great. Marvel is really slipping off. I get it, because they're trying to follow some formula of what's good for this instead of what's good for us. But at the end of the day, they don't make any of these movies, or can't continue to make any of these movies, if they don't please us. So the whole younger generation, the cancel culture idea of we're going to complain and tell you and we're not going to pay any money, has caused this film not to make the money that's just due, to where now I've heard via reading online that they're going to change up, or have completely changed up, the entire storyline of Captain, what is his name? Captain America for the New World Order movie, which I hope that they do better, because I really honestly think that they were going to go with this whole little let's do this, that, and formula, whatever, for twerking and singing and musical. Let's continue to try and put all these little funny and make everybody hilarious and blah, blah, blah to our standards, instead of getting lost in what Marvel has been. So I'm going to stick with that. I know I'll be hated. I don't care. You're going to cancel me? Go right ahead. I'm still the film doctor. I'm still the one with a film degree, and that's my opinion on what I think about the Marvels. So I'm not saying it's great. I'm not saying it's terrible. I'm just saying it's okay. It's average. It has a lot of problems. A lot of things they should have done differently. A lot of things that didn't make sense. But they also had things that I enjoyed. They also had, for me, if I'm going to give it a 2, that means That means like I wasn't paying attention to anything that's going on. I should have just got up and left the theater, but that wasn't the case. I watched it from beginning to end and was trying to process, regardless on it being all over the place in roller coasters. So it is what it is. That's all I have for you guys today. I'm still the Film Doctor. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell. Do all that jazz. Send up some smoke signals. Tie a little note to a business link. Send it on its way. Put a message in the bottle. Throw it in the water. Let it reach our shores. And as always, this has been another exciting episode of, and hopefully not the last one. Hopefully I don't get canceled. Hopefully I don't get, I don't know, taken off the air or something, because I agree that The Marvels is a 3 out of 5 stars. But that's all I have for you guys today. Until next time, my miscreants. Join us next time on another exciting, because we're going to go back to back, another exciting episode of Filmatic. Shit, I was entertaining as fuck. You can't even tell me I was 1 out of 5 stars on this episode. This motherfucker's good, bitch!